One of the aspects of the plot by Donald Trump and his allies to stay in power that has been focused on is this fake electors scheme. So the idea was, with our current process for electing the president, the state legislatures, based on the vote in their state, send electors to Washington to cast their vote as a part of the Electoral College for whoever the presidential candidate was that won that state. And that's an official process, like I said, that goes through the state legislature. So the idea that people close to Trump had was, hey, instead of them counting the actual electors who actually represent the vote that happened in their state, what if we just go and say we're the electors, and we just sign some bogus form saying we're the electors, and cause a situation where people in the Senate and in Congress and Mike Pence possibly could use these other electors as an excuse to say, oh, clearly there's some discrepancies here. Clearly there's some confusion. Let's send it back to the states, or whatever they wanted to happen, or just recognize those electors fraudulently and pretend that those are the correct people casting their vote for Trump, even though Biden won that state. So more and more information has come out about it. And an interesting article from the Washington Post is laying out some new information that came out of investigations into this that revealed some emails that were correspondence between different people organizing this scheme to pretend to be fake electors to try to keep Trump in power. So let's take a look at that. In recent months, the various investigations into January 6th have increasingly zeroed in on the fake electors for President Donald Trump. In states that Trump lost, the fake electors were people who claimed they were duly chosen, something he later tried to leverage to get Vice President Mike Pence to help overturn the election on that fateful day. So again, the idea was, if we can at least have these other electors that we claim to be the correct ones, even if we don't recognize those through the official process, because how would you even do that? That would be at least enough of an excuse for Mike Pence to say that he isn't able to certify the proper election results. Continuing on, but both when they were designated on December 14th, 2020, and since, these fake electors have almost always been described as a contingency plan in this whole process. So what they lay out there is, initially, it seemed like this wasn't the primary plot by any means, but was kind of just another little thing on the side, a contingency plan, as they called it. But then, continue on, new evidence, though, suggests that at least some involved might have understood the fake elector plan differently from very early in the process. A New York Times report details a batch of new emails related to the fake elector plot. Figuring prominently is a Phoenix-based lawyer who worked with the Trump campaign, Jack Wilenchik. Wilenchik corresponded with Trump campaign advisor Boris Epshteyn and others on December 8th, according to the Times report. In one email, he outright refers to the electors, listen to this, as fake electors, before later suggesting that the more palatable phrase would be alternate electors. So to kind of give you the summary of that, this Wilenchik dude and the Boris Epshteyn dude are talking over email and referring to this idea of sending other electors to Washington to pretend that they represent the state's vote as fake electors. They were calling these people fake electors in this plot they were coming up with themselves, recognizing these aren't the legitimate electors. This is a complete fraudulent process, trying to claim Trump to be the winner when he wasn't. And then at one point they say, hey, maybe we should call it alternate electors. That's maybe a little bit more palatable than fake electors. Many have suggested that this line shows that those involved knew these electors were fake to begin with. However, Wilenchik used the word in quotation marks, perhaps suggesting he was borrowing someone else's word. But perhaps the more striking development is how he described their purpose. Here we go. Quote, we would just be sending in fake electoral votes to Pence so that someone in Congress can make an objection when they start counting votes and start arguing that the fake votes should be counted. He summarized a proposal by Trump allied lawyer Kenneth Chesebro as designating the fake electors so that members of Congress can fight about whether they should be counted on January 6th. So now we're getting the evidence behind what we knew was going on. People who wanted to keep Trump in power were coming up with a plot to pretend there's these other electors that they were even referring to as fake electors, so that people in Congress could have some justification to go, hey, listen, I think we should recognize those electors because they represent what I believe happened in that state. And then that would throw us into a constitutional crisis where this process that's just supposed to be kind of ceremoniously certifying the next president, Congress is saying, yes, we recognize that the executive branch is now going to be taken over by this new administration. You're taking that process and preventing it from happening, but there's no guidelines for, well, what happens then? The president isn't certified. Of course, we do know that when a president can't be formally elected and all that type of stuff, and there's an issue in the process, you can get the House of Representatives involved and they cast their votes for president instead. But you would have thrown us into a serious constitutional crisis by preventing the normal lawful process to go through, where Joe Biden was recognized as the next president of the United States. And so this was one plot among many that they had to try to do that. And it was more in the center of their plan than I think we previously thought. As you can see here, they wanted to create some of this confusion and create a plan for fake electors to go to Washington, pretend that they represented their state's vote, so that Pence and people in Congress would have an excuse to not certify the election results. Of course, we know Pence didn't go along with that, and this didn't really go the way that they had planned, but they knew what they were doing to the point where they were referring to this plan as fake electors. Wild, wild, and scary stuff.